If it's Monday at 12:40, then it must be time for TPR Podcast Presents. I'm Austin Toy. Every week, we bring you selections from one of Troy Public Radio's 13 locally produced podcasts. This podcast is new, and I mean brand new. Inside Job, Understanding Vicky White is a true crime podcast telling the story of Vicky and Casey White's 2022 prison escape. We'll be releasing new episodes online every day this week. So, without further ado, here's a preview of episode 1 of Inside Job, Understanding Vicky White.
On a Friday in April 2022, an alert went out to cell phones across the state.
The state of Alabama has issued a blue alert.
What appeared to be a routine trip for a mental health evaluation for an inmate in Lauderdale County, Alabama, had gone wrong. Now, both the inmate and the female officer who was escorting him were missing. No one saw this coming. Vicky Sue White and Casey Cole White were not related despite having the same last name. Vicky was 18 years and 1 day older than Casey, and they were no one's idea of a perfectly matched couple. On April 29th, Vicky helped Casey, a convict serving 75 years for a crime spree in 2015, escape. Vicky was a highly respected assistant director of corrections. She'd put in 25 years with the department and was hours away from a comfortable retirement. Her colleagues loved her. Why then would someone who had everything to lose throw it all away? That's the question we're asking on Inside Job, Understanding Vicky White, a true crime podcast from Troy Public Radio. I'm Ann Kenda. That blue alert that went out on that Friday was rare.
The Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office and the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency asks for your assistance in locating Casey White, white male 38 years of age with salt and pepper hair, hazel eyes and tattoos on both arms.
A blue alert signifies that a law enforcement officer is missing in connection with official duties. It was so rare that some people assumed it was a mistake. Others went on Facebook to speculate about what could have happened to the missing guard.
All right.
Lauderdale County Sheriff Rick Singleton paused before saying these words at a quickly organized press conference that afternoon.
Corrections Deputy, the Assistant Director of Corrections, Vicky White, who's been with the department about 25 years, is missing. She was escorting this inmate, Casey White, to an alleged mental health evaluation this morning at the courthouse. We have confirmed that there was no mental health evaluation scheduled.
Vicky, 56 years old, was set to retire on the day she went missing. Her co-workers were ready to send her off with a cake and celebration at lunchtime, a usual retirement party. But by all accounts, she seemed to be trying to find ways out of it. No one but Vicky knew her reasons for avoiding her long-awaited retirement celebration. That's because no one knew she'd started a relationship with an inmate, Casey White. He was at the Lauderdale County facility awaiting trial. He'd confessed to the killing of 59-year-old Connie Ridgway. That got him transferred to the same jail where Vicky worked. Previously, he was charged with attempted murder, carjacking, robbery, and even the killing of his ex-girlfriend's dog. By all accounts, Casey was a violent person, and Vicky, as a corrections officer, was aware of this, which makes what she did that day very out of character. First, she insisted on driving him to his mental health evaluation. Casey had missed a bus with the other inmates. Vicky blamed herself for making him late and was ready to drive him. She even pretended in front of her colleagues to have forgotten his name. She also said she wasn't feeling well and planned to go to urgent care after dropping Casey off at his routine mental health evaluation. Later, when officers checked, she had never shown up at any urgent care in the area.
Vicky White and Casey White were last seen on April 29, 2022 at approximately 9:40 a.m. at the Lauderdale County Detention Center.
Chantel Petty still has that blue alert screenshotted. Petty served a brief sentence at Lauderdale County for what she described as typical teen stuff. It happened when she was younger than 19, so the records are sealed. She was a new detainee, and Vicky was one of her guards.
It was my first time ever, and she came down to the plexiglass, to the big glass window, and she'll open up the pan hole where they slide in the dinner trays, and she was like, "Hey, don't cry. It's gonna be okay. You'll be out soon. Just make sure when you get out, you don't come back." Like I said, she was very helpful. She would literally go the extra mile.
And one thing we know about Vicky is that her ex-husband died 3 or 4 months before the escape. From what you know about her personal life and her personality, do you think that might have had anything to do with it? Was she suffering from that, and maybe that wasn't understood or something?
I you know what? I honestly believe so, because Casey was known to be a manipulator and to play on anybody, male or female. He knew how to play on your feelings and emotions, and he probably got word from an inmate where she just lost her husband, and he played on that feeding because he knew she was still vulnerable at that time. I mean, she's still grieving. She wore it on her sleeve.
Do you think Vicky's, her personality and her kindness, did it almost make her a target, do you think? Should she have been tougher and maybe she wouldn't have been?
It most definitely made her a target. You know, Lauderdale County, Cobb County, it's a small area, so people talk. That's one thing about that area. People are gonna talk, and that is what made her a primary target. She was tough as nails, but at the same time, by her losing her husband a few months prior, she definitely was a target. And he seen it, and that was, hey, I could take advantage of that.
Petty says watching events unfold and thinking about Vicky's decision to break Casey out of jail was hard.
The way the media painted it, it was kind of heartbreaking and it was hurtful, because unless we're all in that type of situation, we never know what our response or our actions would be. We will never know truly what was on Vicky's mind.
The people who knew Vicky described her as a comforting presence. She was also very professional and security-minded. In other words, she wouldn't be the one to help an inmate escape. That all changed when a video circulated of their departure for the evaluation. In it, Vicky walks in front of Casey as they casually leave the jail. Professionals tell you officers don't usually walk in front of inmates. That is something couples do, and it was beginning to look like they were a couple. It was hard for Sheriff Singleton to voice the conclusion everyone seemed to be drawing.
And I can tell you that every employee in this office is shocked that she's missing and that this has happened. We're just sort of in disbelief. She's been an exemplary employee.
You can hear the full first episode of Inside Job Understanding Vicky White right now on NPR One or at today.troy.edu/podcasts. And check back tomorrow and every day this week for new episodes of Inside Job wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Austin Toy, and this is TPR Podcast Presents on listener-supported Troy Public Radio.